right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Home and Abroad, the podcast.
Let's go.
We're excited.
Let's
Woo!
go. Let's
Woo!
go. We made it to another episode.
Yeah, it's
man.
another episode. And
That's an achievement already. So
yes,
I feel like we should be happy. We should be proud of
I am
ourselves.
personally happy, and I'm happy to see
I
you
mean,
guys.
we're
Shout
both-
out to the production team at the back.
We're consistent now.
yeah.
There's nothing that's actually so joyful as that. So yeah, like you said, welcome to another episode of Home and Abroad podcast. And my name is Akin.
And I go by the name Kesh.
Kesh.
And today we have a special
Drum rolls, please.
minister, engineer,
Okay.
senior advocate,
Mhm.
World Cup winner,
Messi advocate, Guardiola advocate.
Mr. Raphael.
Oh, nice.
I'll give you the opportunity to introduce yourself properly. You might not like this one.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the initiative. Absolutely brilliant. So my name is Raphael. So Messi advocate, Pep advocate, those are correct as well. But my name is Raphael Alimi. I am try to be a gentleman. I'm a talkative.
You're always a gentleman.
And let's get it rolling.
Okay,
All right. So as usual, Akin, do you want to introduce us to the topic for the day?
Let's not rush.
Let's not rush.
We need to know.
Okay, you have plans.
I have plans actually. I have
Go
to
ahead,
build the
go
momentum.
ahead.
You get me?
Go ahead.
So first thing first, Raphael, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what's your relationship status? We need to know. We need to know.
So I am happily married.
Oh, nice.
It is
How big
important
is it?
it's important to put the adjective happily married.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, well, true. I mean, it's not as if I don't know, but I feel like in order to actually introduce the topic for today,
Sure.
people need to understand why I feel or we feel like you're the best, or we feel like you're the good person for the topic that can
Right.
actually address the topic in the way we would
Right.
like for the topic to go.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you're married, and I don't know if I think we came across a video on Twitter this week
Mhm.
about a daughter, a lady that actually got a new car, a Mercedes car. Did you see that? I mean, how come I'm not following you or you're not following me?
I saw that one.
You saw that video, right?
Yeah.
And if you follow, really, in the midst of all the conversations, right, that the father was having with the daughter,
Mhm.
I mean, the daughter was in the passenger seat and the
Mhm.
dad was driving basically
Yeah.
the new car.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard the car is actually bomb. I mean, just looking at it,
A Mercedes.
Mercedes, I mean, you could talk to it and it does what you want it to do. You get all those things.
Yes, sir.
But towards the end, if you could remember, there was something the dad told the daughter.
Yeah, something like I mean,
I want to be sure you know.
if you relate to this, then it will be like Mark Conjumari or something like Mark Mario.
So to the viewers, right, what it means is don't be in a rush to marry. I mean, because your status right now, I mean, has to correlate with the person you end up with.
Yeah,
That's basically the meaning. Mark Conjumari.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it brings me to my question, and
Mm.
honestly, and this is what me and Kesha we've been thinking all week.
Yeah.
And we say, you know what, there's a topic here, there's an issue we need to address here.
Okay.
And I think the topic is, why is it okay for men to marry down, but not for women?
Why is it okay for men to marry down,
Mhm.
not for women? I mean that.
Or why do they even marry down? Why do men marry down?
Okay, I mean that's
women marry up.
that is a reality, man. We can't even act like it's not a fact. You know?
I like the honesty.
No, that's a fact. I mean, it is almost as if it is an unwritten law somewhere, when it comes to marriage. It just naturally happens that you see that men are just more predisposed to not caring too much about if the girl is boxed, if she has the greatest job and all that kind of stuff. And I think that basically ties back to way, way, way long before now, which is the culture of the man provides for the home.
Absolutely.
So you see, when you it is ingrained in culture, it is an unwritten rule that the man has to provide for his family and all that stuff. Then the girl child growing up also has the mindset that, well, I have to marry a guy who can provide for the family.
Mm.
So then you see the situation where you're mentally wired to only associate or entertain guys who can provide for the family. And then you see you're marrying up because it has to be richer than you or doing better than you. So I think that really is how we got to that concept. Is it changing gradually? That is another conversation. But how the whole conversation around marrying up and not marrying up, we came to that. The second one for me is that there is again an unwritten rule where men have ego. So there's an ego conversation. So where there is an ego conversation, for me, for example, marrying up to me sometimes could mean that you end up in a family where your wife is so boxed, the family is so boxed, and you come along looking like the guy who is trying to level up. And then there is attendant disrespect or ego bruises. So these are maybe the two ways off the top of my head I can think of how we got into marrying up or marrying down. So it means then that it is naturally more comfortable, or it is just easier for the guy to marry, not to care really about, oh, is she boxed up or is she not boxed up, because he was trained to know that he's a provider for the family. So it's not looking too much into the lady's finances per se. Now, and on the guy side as well, he's also concerned that, well, I'd rather marry into a place where I earn respect, I earn honor, my dignity is intact. Nobody's looking like, oh, that conversation over the years where you've heard people say, if not that you married our daughter, how would you have ended up? We brushed you up, we cleaned you up.
We gave you that platform. We raised you up from the dead.
Right. So when you look at me, for example, now speaking about myself, when I was coming up as a young man, I had opportunities to marry boxed up family, type thing.
And when you say family, is it the lady herself or the family? Sometimes it's not like the lady is
Not like the wealth is inherited all the time.
That's brilliant. That's a fact. Now that is a fact.
I just want to know in this, this thing could go anyway.
You're right. But in my case, so again, you hardly find. So when you look at the numbers, the girl has money, self-made, and the girl comes from a rich family and she's now rich, or she's comfortable through her family. You see, there is more tendency of the wealth is in the family more than the girl is self-made.
I mean, in that scenario, sorry for actually coaching. In that scenario, it would mean that the girl is actually marrying down.
Yes,
because,
that's the point.
I mean,
that's where I'm going.
Like, right. There's a difference in status right now, right?
Exactly.
So would you say, okay, I don't know what actually happened, like why you guys never ended up together, but would you say that has a lot to do with the fact that, you probably were not up for that, that actually played a role, like the fact that she was actually had more status than you did?
So for me, in my own particular scenario, I'll tell you what. So I was in Nigeria.
Okay.
I was working in Nigeria. I met this girl. She I hope she doesn't run into this video somewhere.
Don't worry.
She was working in PwC also.
Okay,
in VI.
Oh wow.
We were sharing the same building. We met over lunch. Now she's an American citizen.
Oh, wow.
She came to Nigeria because she's tracing her roots. So after college, she said, okay, you know what? Let me go do 1 year. She connected PwC Nigeria through PwC America.
Nice.
Now, so she's not necessarily so rich, But coming from a boy that just finished from Ife, coming to workplace,
You
he
said
married an American girl.
What are you looking
you know?
for?
So for me, I think what eventually, for me, at that point, it was, I would be marrying up, technically.
Yes.
Right? I would be marrying up, right? At the time. And it would be as though, for me personally, at that point, I've just always, I think I approached it from there were a lot of factors at play, right? But the most significant for me is I remember I was always conscious, what am I getting into? Because I don't want to, if it's about getting to America and being cleaned up, becoming, I can do that on my own. So I think there was an ego part of it that, well, I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be that guy. Your mother in New York comes to visit one day and says, if not for my daughter, you would be somewhere in Oshodi being a nobody. You get me?
I mean that's one thing. Society,
right?
And also your ego,
right?
Yeah.
So that was why I leaned into ego earlier on. That okay, there's an ego part to this thing,
true.
And then there is also that conversation where now let us go into more real talk. Real talk, when I say real talk, I mean, okay, leave ego aside, leave all that aside. There's a conversation of we probably are not just the same material from a upbringing, cultural. Give you a perfect example. We were in a taxi, the Lagos yellow taxi. We were trying to get an apartment at one point. We're in a taxi. She just went on ranting and abusing, and she was angry at the taxi man. And I'm here looking at the taxi man, feeling like, man, this is an old man now. I beg, what could he have done? On top how much?
Two emotions I would actually have felt at that point. I'll be embarrassed, and
I'll
be like, really, be sensitive, please. Like,
you know what happened after we got out of that taxi, and the fight was, you didn't have my back. You didn't defend me. You didn't
against an old man.
I'm like, man, I can't. We don't do this, man. I'm a Lagos boy. This man can cost me, and I will just walk away forever. I don't return.
Yeah, nice.
And she's from a place where she feels like, what the fuck?
You can get away with anything.
So based on training,
you guys have
there's a difference because I mean I'm from the root. I feel that man's hustle. I could give him that money and be done with it.
I mean,
you're looking at the man like he's just doing his job. Let him do his job and get out of here.
Yeah.
So you see, there's all these.
I mean, you touch a very important point. So, are you of the opinion that when ladies have status to some extent, they tend to be like disrespectful? Like they don't tend to, like, in a way, I don't want to say lower their standard, but then be respectful, be like, what's the word? Submissive, or tend to, like, calm with it, like the ways humble with it generally. Is that what it means?
No. So you see, that is totally dependent on people's experiences and where they come from.
Okay.
So you could be rich and humble to your death. You could be poor and be arrogant and be disrespectful.
True.
But now, are there more people who are rich and arrogant when it comes to rich kids? Yes, there are. Because they naturally don't live in the same world where poor people live in quotes. You feel me? So now that, again, I am careful to say that is not a thing. So the fact that she's rich, she's doing fine, she'll be disrespectful, she'll be arrogant is not a thing. Can she be submissive? Absolutely. But what does the statistics show again? It's just natural that people come from certain affluence and comfort, and because of their experiences, because of where they're coming from, who they have dealt with people and stuff like that, they just approach life differently. Let me put it that way.
Okay, so my own question, or my thoughts right now is, fine, the society or the stereotype or what we accept right now, if you ask most people, is it's okay for men to marry down, so to say, in terms of maybe income status and all of those things, right?
Mm.
But then I feel like there's a friction when it comes to women marrying down. And when I say that, for example, maybe someone that has like a PhD degree, or maybe earns x x amount of money, right?
Yeah.
And then this lady is trying to marry someone maybe that doesn't earn up
Right.
to her, or maybe doesn't have like degree, that
Right.
is. And this conversation, I think we were talking the other day, when a guy meets a lady, right? And he's like, oh, and he's talking with his guys, he'll be like, oh, I met a lady, or blah blah blah. The first thing, or what people will ask is, oh, how is she? Is she beautiful? Is she fine? Is she beautiful?
Sure thing.
But in the other
Sure
case,
thing.
when if in the reverse case, right?
Sure
If
thing.
that lady is speaking to maybe her friends or her parents, like back to the video now, the first thing they will ask is, what does he do?
Right.
Or what is he doing?
Right.
They want to, they are sizing that man based on
His
basically what
capacity,
his capacity, what he can provide, or
right,
his status.
provision. Yeah.
And I saw some stats, and this is just in the US. Like, ladies right now have more, degrees,
Right.
higher degrees compared to men. So
Right.
looking at that stat, it means most ladies will have to, we have no choice but to,
Marry
marry.
down. Right.
But then there's like that friction that comes with, oh, maybe it's not up to your level, or maybe the guy is there to maybe dig gold, be a gold digger.
Right.
All of those things. So
Right.
why is it hard? Or why is there like a friction? If it's okay for men to marry down, why is it hard for ladies to also? And that is tied back to the question of, oh, maybe when a lady is rich or affluent, does that affect the way they carry themselves, buzzing around or being arrogant and all of those things?
So you see,
I mean, I've said a lot.
I mean,
I'm even looking for the question.
you
no question.
you've brought us back. You've brought us back to where we started, and that makes a lot of sense. So what you're saying again comes back to what we were saying at the beginning, which was culture. And I said at the beginning that again, there is a tilting away from that norm, but there are challenges even as we're trying to tilt. Now, again, culture has dictated that the man provides for the home. So naturally, the man must be able to provide for the home.
True.
So the lady is looking for a man who can provide for the home. Now, again, culture has said the woman must be submissive, right? And so, again, our environment makes let's talk about marriage. When the whole conversation of marriage is really about two people bringing their buckets of experiences together and living it out. No, so for example, now my wife comes from where she comes from, she's where she is, she was trained the way she was trained. I'm from where I'm from, I'm who I am, I'm trained the way I'm trained. Now, to have a marriage, to live together, it means there must be convergence. You must be able to converge at some point. There must be compatibility.
Yeah.
Now, what your experience being rich or being poor does to that convergence is it makes it perfect, seamless, difficult, or in some cases impossible.
True.
So, for example, your father is a taxi driver, grew up a taxi driver, did all the tough stuff to bring you up and do all that stuff. Now you're married. It is ingrained in you that you must provide for your father.
True.
You must support your father. Your wife comes from a boxed up home. Matter of fact, when she was marrying, her father gave her $100,000 as gift. You both are coming together. You see now that there's a lot more work to be done between those two people than two taxi drivers' children who both know that they owe their parents to continually support them and all that kind of stuff. So your experiences, where you're coming from, matters a lot in how you're able to make marriage work. Because marry down or marry up, at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is make it work. Right? So you see people. So again, I'm afraid I digressed. Back to your question of why do men marry down? It is because, and when you say men marry down, sometimes it's not because men marry down like a man picked a nobody. No, he just picked someone he's comfortable with. And in some cases, or in several cases, who is comfortable with is who is he thinks is submissive, who he thinks they can make it work together, can reason with. And sometimes that humility, and maybe sometimes false humility, comes because the girl looks up to him for support.
True. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
so when you look up to someone for support and you look up to them for a lot of stuff, you naturally submit to them. Could be false humility, could be real.
We can go on and on, honestly. I'm like, because the thing actually branches to other like facet of like, if you look at it, like it's a wide. When I was telling you, I said it's something you can actually speak about for like hours.
It's crazy.
I mean, before we go, there's a question, and I'm pretty sure there's some people actually in the audience that would like to ask one or two questions. But a question that actually, I mean, I came across it online. That is it true that men marrying down is seen as a bailout or a poverty alleviation sort of scheme?
Oh boy!
I mean, like you are helping the needy. I mean,
I ran into that somewhere, and I was uncomfortable with it. Yeah, I ran into it. They literally came together to say something like, "Oh, is marriage a poverty alleviation scheme or something like that?" Yeah, I was uncomfortable with it. Marrying down, again, what we call marrying down. I'm careful to say that marrying down is not necessarily marrying down. Marrying down, what we call marrying down is someone marrying who they are in the same financial capacity, not necessarily the other person is deep down.
Marrying down sounds derogatory.
It's derogatory, actually.
Right.
Master slave kind of.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so your white people call something borokini. Borokini is what the Americans call upper middle class. No, lower middle class. I think it's lower middle class. What it means basically is you can provide for yourself, you have a home, you own the home, you send your children to school. In fact, a Borokini will send their children to private schools. They're so comfortable like that. Okay. So I would say I'm Borokini. My wife is Borokini. Right, in that sense. Both middle class families. Did I marry down?
He didn't marry down, actually.
Did I marry up?
He didn't marry down. He didn't marry up.
You see the point?
Yeah.
But am I? Hey. Okay. I was gonna say I might be chatting on my wife.
Is careful. Because this thing is going online.
You know? Am I my wife's purse and my purse, which is bigger? Mine. Does it mean I married down? No. Do you understand now? So that's why I'm always scared. So again, so marriage is not a poverty alleviation scheme. That's a simple answer.
True.
Marriage should not be. And in cases where people marry up in that sense of more, that girl, because it's a real thing now that okay, people go like, more that girl's father is a senator, I'm going to get contracts and I'm going to get all that stuff.
Yeah, that's
strategy.
That's another thing. And in that sense, you're not marrying for love. You're just
strategic. That guy went for strategy. So he was not even.
He could pay.
And so they will now go. Those are the people that will now go into that thing we talked about, where they are like, if not for me.
Yeah.
The lady says to the guy who married up, if not for me, right? The guy will also the parents of the guy, the mother-in-law comes to the home and tells the wife, I don't know what my son saw in you. Your people are classless. You are, you know. So people will do it if they're ready to go with all that stuff that comes.
I'm just careful about time because I really believe some people in the audience might actually have one question. You don't have to like come in here. Just tell me if you have any question. I would actually say it again, and so our guests can actually answer. Anybody? See, the window is going though. I'm telling you guys. See, this is one in a lifetime opportunity. If you guys don't start talking from today, we'll talk again. Oh, you have a question? There's a question. All right. Let's have it.
Just speak.
Let's have it.
We'll re-echo the question.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, and later on the guys actually goes off.
Fantastic question. I mean, I'll react. So our question is simply in a case whereby the girl marries down, then during the relationship or marriage, the guy elevates. It could be maybe probably he used to have like a BSc.
Right.
He leveled up to a master's, or I mean that comes with like bigger opportunities like that. So what about that case?
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic. So generally, again, I've probably made a mistake of making it seem like it doesn't work ever. That's not true. So it works sometimes. Again, you said something where you said the intention, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it just so happens, big girl meets God I beg guy, they get married. And God, I beg guy and big girl, they're actually in love, right?
Okay.
And the God, I beg guy keeps working at his stuff. A guy elevates. They will just keep having a beautiful marriage.
But
no
one talks about like prior to that, like he probably
all
had
that
actually
the journey,
the journey. I mean, he had to deal with insecurities.
Yeah,
he had to.
True story. Let me give you a quick one. Short story, real life story.
Mm-hmm.
Big girl marries God I beg guy. Now, God I beg guy had a home, literally built his home, but in Mowebafo. Big girl was raised in Ikeja and all.
Mm-hmm.
She thought she could do it. After doing like a couple of months in the marriage in Mowebafo, doing that travel from Mowe back to the island and everything, man, she was dying. Man. She literally went to Ikeja, got them a 3-bedroom house in Ikeja. Guy said
had to do it himself.
Herself. Yeah. Guy said, I will move into the house. His ego came in saying, why will I move into a rented house when I built
something
a home in Ibafu, Mowebafo? But baby saying, man, think about the traffic, think about all the crazy stuff. I'm not even saying if you pay, I will pay. You feel me? Now, if this guy levels up, like you said, these are stories you will not hear about, but there's real also in this thing.
I mean, like you said, nobody talks about prior to the guy elevating.
Yeah.
I mean, his story, insecurities.
Yeah.
He got to a particular point, his ego kicked in.
Like, of course, man.
But then again, he wasn't considering like the health.
Yes, sir.
That part. So
yes, sir. He doesn't care about that.
I feel we could just go on and on, but like time is not our friend right now, and it's so sad. Probably we'll just bring you back for maybe like an extension or something for this purpose, like a sequel. I don't know. Like, is there anything you would like to promote? Because we give people the avenue, that platform. I don't know.
Oh, okay, good. This is going wild, and this is going to blow. Your effort is going to blow. So go on Instagram and look for culinary masterminds. That's my wife. She cooks.
Oh, wow.
She caters. So culinary masterminds on Instagram. Check it out. She cooks beautiful food.
Yeah, we'll put it on the.
Thank you.
Put it on. I mean, this has been nice, Kesh.
Yeah,
I mean,
wonderful. I enjoyed
I'm really
myself.
happy that we actually had that discussion to invite you. And honestly, looking back now, I think that was like the best decision we made this week. Really, because it's a very fun conversation. I don't even have anything to say.
All right, I'll just round up. So, all right, guys, keep watching, share, like, subscribe, send to a friend,
hit that notification button.
The podcast.
See you next time.
Next time.
Peace out.
Thank you.